guests, the stars of Billy Corgan's Adventures in Carnyland. It premieres on the CW app May 14th. He's also the owner of the NWA, the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan, and his lovely wife, Chloe. How are you folks doing this morning?
We're great. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for joining us, Billy. I'm gonna jump right into the wrestling here. How has the partnership with CW been thus far with NWA Power and now with the reality show? There were some reports after NWA Samhain with the cocaine spot that things were a little rocky, but how has the partnership been with the CW?
Well, let's start there. After the quote unquote cocaine spot where Sinister Minister and his hot minions were snorting sugar off a table in Cleveland, that story took a life of its own. NWA is going to lose its CW deal. They've lost their CW deal. About 4 days after the event, CW, like, I don't want to say who, but certainly one of the top people in CW called me and said, "What is this all about?" And I said, "I don't know, because no one from your world has reached out to me." He says, "There's no problem over here. We're reading all these articles and we don't understand what the issue is." And I said, "Okay, so just to be official about it, there's no issue with what we did." They go, "No, we think it's funny." So there was no issue. It was a completely invented story by either a troll inside the company or a leaker or something. So, and if you consider the source of who was writing it, that should tell you something as well.
I appreciate you clearing that up. I will say I was a fan of the spot because I think wrestling should be a little bit of everything, and we need more fun stuff.
Well, let me say
like
this too real quickly. As I joked about at the time, a fake drug spot versus what, putting a cheese grater to somebody's head, that's okay in professional wrestling. I didn't like all the pearl clutching. The fake rumors about that we had endangered our CW spot, that was certainly annoying because it was putting a perception out there that we'd done something wrong when we never did anything wrong as far as CW was concerned. If people took offense to the spot, that's fine, that's wrestling. But the pearl clutching from the crowd, that I found really amusing.
Let's talk about go ahead, Joel.
No, if you want to do the wrestling, keep the wrestling, and we'll shift after that. Go.
Well, I was going to talk. You guys just made a big announcement with the new show Back to the Territories and the return of the NWA Mid-American Heavyweight Championship. What went into the decision to bring back another championship? And are you worried about too many titles?
Well, in terms of the Mid-American title, we don't plan on featuring it on NWA Power. The reason I wanted to bring that title back is I want a traveling champion that goes to all the territories. We just have 4 at the moment, but we're certainly talking to a lot of people about expanding. So it's not unreasonable within the next year we'll have a lot more territories that champion could go to. I love the idea of a traveling champion. It harkens back, of course, to the early days of the NWA, where Luthez, of course, would go territory to territory. Or Rocket, I think his name was Rocket Mercer. He was the originator of the drop kick. I just like that. I like that vibe. So that's what the title's for, but I don't see it as a TV title per se.
I want to shift focus, if I may, over to Smashing Pumpkins. I'm a music fan, and I've been a fan of the work for a long time. And earlier this week, Smashing Pumpkins announced that Kiki Wong's going to be their new guitar player. Bands, used to follow a more traditional referral program to find members, but we're talking about the rise of discovering new talent through non-traditional avenues using social media. Can you talk to that and also its impact on the music industry today?
Sure. I mean, in terms of Kiki, I already knew who she was from her successful social media account. And she told me the story where she basically was caught in the pandemic with nothing to do. And so she picked back up her guitar and started making these videos. And a lot of the stuff that she did went viral. So when I saw that she was on the list of people who wanted to audition, I was very excited to meet her because she brings such a great vibe. But of course, I didn't know her personally. But she's very much that person in real life. And she's a great guitar player. So we're very excited to have her. As far as social media goes, I don't know, obviously it's got a huge impact as well on professional wrestling. I think the difficulty is you get into these weird things where it's like what's true versus narratives that form on the internet, like we were talking about the cocaine spot. How much energy do you put as a real company, or in the case of the band, a real band, into sort of chasing down narratives which may or may not be true. So we like the fact that in the case of Kiki brings her own audience to the table. And so even when I was reading some of the comments on our social media about Kiki, people being sort of, let's say, they didn't really understand why we'd hired Kiki, her fans were coming in and sort of correcting the record or or saying, no, no, you don't understand who this person is. And that's where like basically that world kind of policed itself in the case of Kiki. So it was nice to see.
And is there any, just as a follow-up, any nervousness about bringing someone who, again, going back to non-traditional avenues, bringing someone like that on the road, not to downplay any Kiki's work or accomplishments or abilities, it's just the general. Typically, people who are on the road, know the road, are comfortable with it, are a different breed. So is there any sort of, uneasiness there?
Not at all. She has a very good professional history, so that certainly went into the decision. Now, she's a super high quality human being. We're very excited to work with her.
I want to shift focus to the reality show. Again, Billy Corgan's Adventures in Carnyland premieres on the CW app May 14th. And Chloe, I want to ask you, how was it for you filming this? Billy's used to being kind of in front of the camera, being performing and things like that. But for you, with the reality show cameras, like, how was that like for you?
It was honestly fun. I don't know, it felt natural, and I love how the show shows a bit into the reality of our life, which is really a grind. There's no frills in hard work, and it's an honest portrayal of running a small business, the really wackiness of professional wrestling and the type of people involved. And it's really heartwarming. I love the show because it's so real.
Had you been around the world of professional wrestling just prior to all of this with the NWA?
Well, I've been with Billy for over a decade. So yes, we've been in multiple different promotions over the years. I actually was a ring announcer at one point, before I had kids, for fun, just in support of me being at the shows, and just sitting there. He was like, why don't you just go in and announce? So I just think it's fun to see Billy passionate, excited, and really involved in a company that's cool. I mean, I love the storylines, I love the characters, and I can only be more excited for the future.
Yeah, this is, I think, our third promotion together, right?
Yeah.
Resistance Pro, then TNA, and then the NWA. So she's seen it all at every level.
And we're friends with WWE wrestlers and stuff. So I go to those shows. Again, I'm not going really to just see wrestling content because that's not really my thing. But I love the people there. So you just build relationships and friendships, and you can only just root for your best friends.
Chloe, you had and of course, Billy, you had a lavish wedding. It was a very formal affair. I can tell you from my experience, we went from looking at a 125 guest list down to 25. We got upset, we got annoyed, everything along the way, which I'm sure you've experienced in wedding planning. Was there any point during your own planning of your wedding where you said, nope, forget it, we're going to do a small venue, closest friends, that's it, $1,000, we're done?
Well, I was fine with City Hall from the beginning, but my current husband said, if I'm getting married, I'm really getting married. And I said, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, we're going to celebrate. And I said, okay. So then we did that. I don't think it was never stressful. I think we've been together for so long. It was just, we were looking for an opportunity to just have fun with our friends, have a beautiful ceremony, and really make it authentic to who we were. So who we are. So nothing about it was really trying. I didn't have parents who were telling me what to do. Like, I think a lot of it comes with the politics with all that stuff. And we have kids. I wanted them in the ceremony. I just wanted to have fun. And I really wanted it to be beautiful and really represent who we were, which is why our home is involved. I had a lot of nuances and personal touches. And I think you see that in the wedding, that were kind of a clan d'oeil, like a little secret. And people loved it. They had a great time.
I like that it represented our life, so you had pumpkins in the house, you had NWA talent in the house, you had people from her fashion life in the house, and of course, people that have been in our lives for many, many years. It was a great meeting, and it was great in many ways to see people that normally don't come together in our worlds, because our worlds are sort of so separate, get together and really have a great time. There was sort of common cause, which was interesting to watch.
It was a lot of fun.
Billy, Chloe, we want to thank you. Oh, sorry, Chloe.
I'll say I'll do it again. There was nothing bad about it. I loved it.
She definitely would do it again. I'm good. One wedding is good for me. There's your finish. 1, 2, 3. I'm out.
We want to thank you for joining us here today. One last time, again, let everyone know where they can watch the show, when they can watch the show, and anything else you want to plug. Yeah,
the CW is where you can find not only NWA Power, but the new show, Billy Corgan Adventures in Carnyland. All 8 episodes drop on May 14th. So if you want to binge watch, have fun. Each episode's about 30 minutes long, so it's not that long a binge watch. And hopefully we'll get to a second season, because now that we've done the show one time, I think We really want to get to this other end of the story. So we're hopeful that people really do support it. I will say one thing, because you're talking, of course, to a wrestling crowd. It's probably the most unvarnished look inside a wrestling company that I've ever seen. We really, there's a ton of criticism of me in the show, and I'm producing the show. I wanted people to see that back and forth that goes on. So it's not a postcard to how great I am. It's a postcard to me trying to balance my life and, of course, my life in professional wrestling. And I think that's why I hope that's why people will enjoy it, because it really does tell that unvarnished story.
Again, thank you both for joining us here
Thank you.
today. And again, it is Billy Corgan's Adventures in Carnyland, May 14th, premieres on the CW app. Thank you both again. We'll be right back here, Fightful Overbooked.